This is a school that is just down the street and across the street from my grandparents' house, where they've lived all my life. Suggested we go to the park with my dad and my siblings. That's in front of the school. Last time I've been here, I was 5, 7 years younger, at least. If my cousins that live over here, and I haven't been back to this park since. So I thought, why not go back with my dad, my siblings, an opportunity to go over here. And I remember when we came back here, maybe a decade ago, we walked around the whole place actually. There was like more park like over there, but this is all being constructed quite new for something. I don't know, maybe expansion to the school. I don't know, whatever. But as I was walking out here, seeing sort of the sunset and this construction and this school, barely 2 stories. I think it's like an auditorium over there. That's probably 2 stories. These people's backyards and the sort of retention area, just in case if it overfilled, all water can go in that area. This large lawn that's been mowed, I don't know, a week ago. This open sky, and made me a little bit emotional way. I get emotional thinking about lives that could have been lived. I think about them too seriously. You know, makes me cry sometimes. It doesn't even have to be me specifically, but just other people. That's why I cried sort of yesterday, thinking about somebody was assassinated for their own. So I guess I was thinking about it yesterday, but somebody was assassinated for their own beliefs, that everybody has the right to a gun, even though despite that there will be some gun deaths. And yet the man who advocated that was assassinated with a gun. Charlie Kirk. But here, I sort of despise the suburbs because of how inherently limiting, it is to necessitate having a car. These people with their massive lawns, big mansions, cookie cutter houses, having a car to have to go to a store, to a pharmacy, to do anything except have a walk in your neighborhood. And I hate that because I think it's ultimately just bad for people and for our society. And I think that there's some racism tied with that, as in like, oh, hey, well, all this new development out here, come leave the filthy city behind. But whatever, that's not really the point. The point is, I get sad thinking about how I could have grown up in an environment like this, and how what might be different, what might be the same. Thinking about how I would have trying to think about how I would have felt about suburbs if I had grown up in one. How I would have changed. I would have come out of my eggshell earlier, later. If I would still be in the eggshell, I wouldn't have cracked. Getting sad or wrecked over thinking about how I probably would have been the same sort of, lonely person. Sometimes desperate for interaction or attention. Oftentimes sort of enthralled in my own loneliness, for worse, and for only a few times better. Because even though I grew up in a more urban environment, what I grew up in was the suburbs, like 50 plus years ago. It was the suburbs, even despite it being in the city limits. It is suburban before the sort of subdivision with a winding road type thing was popular came up with. But there's something still to where I live where public transit is much more accessible. This grid system that is far more intuitive than this fucking winding road shit that you need a car and a phone and a GPS to figure out. But I probably would have turned out very similar. Loner in school, gone to a school with 1,000+ people. I never went to that except until college, and even then it was only 3,000 people. But sorry, 6,000 I guess. 3,000 were undergraduates like me. But like the possibilities of what could have been, and I get sad over the fact that maybe much couldn't have been different. Could have been the same despite me having a very different circumstance. Yeah, sometimes I just get sad about thinking about that, even though it's like sort of useless, you know, because I've repeated this, and I know that I'm going to be sad. But I don't know. Yeah, I get sad over other lives, you know. My siblings are coming to run to me. They finally saw me. So I'll wrap it up, but whatever. Fuck the suburbs. They can be beautiful.